Holosky Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Steven.
And Kyle.
And it's Monday Holocult. You know what that means. We're here to hang out with you. That's what it means. Thanks for choosing us to kickstart your work week. We're excited to be here. We're excited that you continue to hang out with us every week, talk about some weird stuff. If you're new here, we like to kind of chit-chat for a little bit. So if you don't want to listen to that, you're going to want to fast forward to about 6 minutes. If you're not new here, you know the drill. Welcome back, you weirdo. Thanks for kicking it with us. Kyle's got something in store for us today.
I do. It's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting. So you're going to want to hang out. Check us out at all our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Discord, Reddit. Search up the Holosky Podcast. We will be there. Come join the community. Be part of the cult. It's a cool cult. It's not that creepy. Talk about Bigfoot, and we talk about poltergeists and crop circles, stuff like that. It's not that bad at all.
No.
If you've got your own paranormal experience you'd like for us to feature on a future episode, Kyle has got some information.
I do. It's relatively simple. holoskypodcast@gmail.com. You can also go to holoskypodcast.com. You can do whatever you want to get us your story. Do that, please, in as much detail as you can so we can properly analyze it. We're going to get it, file it, air it, and then just great things happen.
It's true. It's true. It's a win-win for everyone involved, honestly. If you'd like to support the show, plenty of ways you can do it. Patreon for $7 a month. You get Patreon exclusive episodes over there. You get all our regular content that we release early. You get it ad-free. You get cool casket breath jams over there. You get first dibs on merch drops. Sometimes we get merch coupons. It's a thing. It's a whole thing over there. Go to holoskypodcast.com. We got a merch tab. You can go check out some of our cool stuff. If you want to be the coolest kid on the block, you can buy a t-shirt, a hat, a beanie, some stickers, all sorts of good stuff over there. The best thing you can do is share the show word of mouth. Just put us out there wherever you can. Share it with all your fellow weirdos. It's free. It's easy. It's quick. Wherever there's paranormal chit-chat or podcast chit-chat, just keep Holosky in the front running and help us grow the cult. The more members, the better. You can also go to wherever you listen to podcasts, your podcatcher that is, and leave us a 5-star rating and review. When I find it, I'll shout you out. This week's 5-star rating and review comes to us from our friend Autonomous. Otto says, great show, 5 stars. Too many paranormal shows are just cookie cutter and go over the same old stories. So I'm pleased that these guys actually pull up some oddities and lesser known cases. Better yet, the mainstream topics are done by adding updated and hardly known cases. The only thing I can knock them for is their foul mouths. But hey, like they'll tell you, it's their podcast, so they're going to do it anyway. If you're intrigued by the paranormal or looking for some semblance of an answer or just enjoy paranormal stories, then I can't recommend Holosky enough. Autonomous, thank you for your kind words.
It is appreciated.
You know what? Thank you for being objective for our foul mouths. We know it's not for everybody. We get that. We're try to do better, but sometimes that's just our personalities. And we appreciate you not only hanging around and dealing with our foul mouths, but you also put that aside and put out some kind words for us. We appreciate that.
Trust me, you meet us in person or you hear us on other podcasts, our foul mouths usually take a back seat.
We try our best.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of other people's worst.
Yeah.
But we do appreciate it, especially that's how you handle things. Sure, like we're not your entire cup of tea, but you still appreciate the parts of the tea that you enjoy.
Yeah.
You don't just focus us out for saying some cuss words. And that's being dope. So,
agreed.
Thanks, Anonymous. We appreciate you. And just for that, I won't say the F word. So, the last thing you could do is support our sponsors. Speaking of sponsors, now here's some words from them. All right. Just like that, we're back. And Kyle is going to take us to the moon.
I am. Quite literally. We're going to be exploring the theory on the moon being a soul trap.
Yeah, I almost said F, yeah, but I'm not saying it.
It's pretty fucking weird. It's pretty weird, man. The more I dug into it, the stranger things got. And I'm kind of convinced now. So
I'm here for it.
yeah. So with that being said, like I said, and not on top of that, we're also going to chase a couple other leads and threads that I kind of stumble on, because it seems like the soul trap moon kind of falls into a bigger picture, unbeknownst to me, because I hadn't really done a whole lot of research into this. But some people believe that the moon is obviously more than just a moon. I found in my research, I found a post by Nick Hinton that, and he always goes kind of hard in the paint on everything he does. But he states how a lot of people don't even consider how small of a chance it is that the moon actually creates an eclipse. The fact that the moon is exactly 400 times smaller than the sun, and that the earth is exactly 400 times away from the sun, is astronomically small.
That is sus.
It's weird, right? Also pointing out that this happens nowhere else in the known universe, and stating that the moon is actually too big to be a true moon. It's 1/4 the size of the earth. Some people think that the earth was hit by another planet, and that is what essentially created our moon. But it also seems that the moon's surface is more ancient than Earth.
So that would
So it's weird.
disprove, essentially,
Should.
technically.
It's an oddity. Others think that the moon is a rogue planet, and as it's kind of wandering through space, Earth's gravitational pull pulls it in and creates a moon. But Nick is like, the moon's essentially too large for that. That shouldn't happen. In 1972 and 1977, seismometers were installed on the moon by the Apollo 12 missions. And they were put there to record the possibility of moonquakes.
Hell yeah.
Apollo 12 apparently crashed a module onto the surface of the moon, and that resulted in the moon ringing like a bell for around an hour.
That's weird.
So that suggests the moon is hollow.
That's weird.
It's weird. In 1970, two Russian scientists, Michael Vazin and Alexander Sherbakov, claimed that
Nailed
the moon is a spaceship created by highly advanced beings that live on the inside.
Which would insinuate that it's hollow.
Absolutely. Not to mention, you take into consideration all of the stories and information that we've gathered about how there are ancient alien bases on the dark side of the moon. And then you have all the videos that have been taken of UFOs landing on and flying around the moon. In 2014, a person that goes by the handle Crow777 recorded something essentially bizarre. It's the video of a moon, and the first video is kind of weird because as they're recording it, there's like this mirage filter on the moon. Like it looks like there's a mirage in front of the moon. Now, as he's recording this, it looks like a wave goes over the moon. You clearly see a line go over the moon.
That's weird.
It's weird. But then as you keep watching the video, there are more videos from other people that have also recorded this same thing happening. And these other videos are a lot more clear. They don't have this mirage-y substance. but it looks like a wave races across the moon.
How long ago was that?
I don't remember when it was taken.
That's weird.
And I don't, once again, I don't know exactly how I feel about it, because you could convince me that it's some type of cosmic radiation or whatever. I don't know. It's fucking weird. It's hard for me to speak on because I'm not a spaceologist.
Could have fooled me.
Well, I try. To add to the strangeness of the moon and the impossibilities of it, the moon has a large impact on Earth. As most of us know, it pulls the oceans and supposedly fucks with our emotions, turning us into lunatics. Get it?
Not just a clever name.
Right. And, we've all heard the stories about how 911 dispatchers are usually busier on full moons than normal. I did see from a few places that there is old writings, which is fucking weird, about how ancient cultures actually referenced a time before the moon. And before the moon, apparently, supposedly, the world was peaceful.
That's
more
weird.
Peaceful.
I never heard that they would reference a time before the moon.
There is a lot of ancient cultures that reference the moon in extremely odd ways. This one here in particular, and keep in mind, as usual with me, the information is rather scattered because I kind of follow the thread, so to speak. But in Zulu legend, our hollow moon was put in place by two brothers with scaly fish-like skin. I think my computer autocorrected here. Wowing and Impaku brought the moon to Earth after stealing it from a great fire dragon. After they emptied out the egg-like planet of its yolk, they then placed it in Earth's orbit. Now, if you take that description and you analyze it for what it is, you can halfway put that up against the euphoric egg. And that also kind of coincides with what they call the cosmic egg. The egg is a symbol of the universe and the potential for all creation. The serpent could represent the creative spirit or the fire energy that brings the universe into being, or even symbolizing the primordial life force. Some even say the path of the moon's orbit. However, if you keep digging around into the euphoric egg and the cosmic egg, you start to find more oddities that kind of align with the overall picture of the episode here. The serpent seems to be linked to Kronos. From the egg hatches Phanes, who is the bringer of light and order. Phanes goes on to create the cosmos, gods, and souls. But if you look at just the egg, the origin of all existence, the primordial womb of the universe, creation out of chaos, which you take Kronos and you take creation out of chaos, those two there directly reference Saturn.
I knew when you started talking about Kronos, that's where it was going to go.
Yeah. Creation out of chaos, unity before duality, the seed of divine potential or hidden knowledge, a barrier between between dimensions. Then you can go off the deep end, and the egg is linked to Saturnian control and the false matrix. The egg is a prison, a closed system engineered by archonic beings, often associated with Saturn, AI, or the demiurge.
I knew it was the damn archons.
But I'm always interested in how this cosmic AI keeps getting brought into the picture. It's fucking weird.
I'm just saying that
I'm really thinking you need to go down that episode.
a super soldier once said that he was combating a cosmic AI god on like the 13th level.
Ever since you brought that up, I keep seeing more and more reference to it. It's bizarre.
Yeah. It's probably because
It's
it's
weird.
true.
But in some circles, Earth is essentially seen as the cosmic egg of trapped souls, never being allowed to hatch or ascend by deception, trauma, and mass programming, which those there hit in a lot of conspiratorial realms like the Black Eye Club and stuff like that. You know, this trauma and programming. Oddly enough, in some circles, the egg can also link to Luciferian rebirth rituals. And it even specifically says, like Black Eye initiations.
That's weird.
Which is the cracking of the egg through death/rebirth trauma. We circle back here to the serpent wrapping around the egg, the soul trapped in the cycle of time, which links to Saturn and Kronos. Fane's birth is spun into a Luciferian illumination or false light. Because, as I said, Fane's, what was that again? Fane's was considered the bringer of light and order. In some circles, the euphoric egg is a symbol for hidden knowledge, which once again we see a lot with the Illuminati and these secret societies. Oddly enough, some nods to this from Hollywood as well. I don't know if you remember or not. I don't think you're as big of a movie watcher as I am, but The Truman Show. Do you remember that?
I don't know that I've ever seen The Truman Show.
For some reason, when I was in my teenage years, that was one of my favorite movies. I have no idea why. But in The Truman Show, the director of The Truman Show hid in a fake moon and watched over a controlled Jim Carrey. So that's fucking weird, right?
That is
the whole concept of it.
a lot of soft disclosure-ish
Okay.
there.
So, you know, put that in the bank. You also have DreamWorks with the person sitting on the moon fishing, which is theorized and spun into the moon fishing for souls.
Sus.
Weird. Then you look into, it kind of keeps going down this rabbit hole of these oddities, and you stumble onto Asian folklore. And in this particular Asian folklore, there's a rabbit that lives on the moon and is a companion of the moon. The rabbit is sitting there making the elixir of life for the moon with his mortar and pestle. You keep following that thread, and the moon rabbit links to a lot of cultures. But this line gets blurred when you put the moon rabbit next to Puka, which is a trickster demon that looks kind of like a tall, white, humanoid rabbit. And then, as Nick points out, then you can attribute that to the Trix rabbit, Donnie Darko, or
That is weird.
a weird one, the Easter Bunny. And apparently, Easter was originally the celebration of the fertility goddess Ishtar, the queen of heaven.
Yep.
Her symbols were rabbits and eggs. Eggs, at this point in time, were dipped in blood as an offering to her, which,
What do we do on Easter?
right?
Die eggs.
But that also links to a woman's menstruation cycle, because that can link back to Latin and Greek words meaning month and moon. Another weird symbol is the Energizer Bunny. You know, could that be a nod to the gods using us like batteries? Which, once again, later on, we will see a reference to that. And then you dive into more weirdness of the story. Is the light we see when we die a trap? And is the moon involved somehow? This goes into the false light matrix and how it has been faking and basically faking and making it for a long time. The Earth's moon has been brought here from somewhere else. Technology was then placed inside the moon, both physically and etherically. The orbit was locked into a non-rotating Lagrange point, locking the energy of the moon/satellite into the Earth's etheric magnetic field. Once it's locked in, an artificial vortex was then induced, siphoning everything in the astral with the resonance of source, pulling all of this into a massive reincarnation machine. This results in when someone dies, their soul would not be able to escape the energetic vortex, and they would then be pulled into lower layers of the astral. Then, preconditioned religious beliefs would dictate into which simulation they were placed in. Now, keep in mind, with all of this, there are variations to this theory, but in my opinion, they're all subtle variations. They're all just subtle discrepancies, and I think it comes down to beliefs and those types of systems. But after some time, the person's guides would tell them that they have more lessons to learn, deeds undone, and more things to do. Shit we've heard constantly through religious stuff, all types of stuff, right?
It's the pillars of reincarnation.
Absolutely. The karmic value and things that you need to learn before you can move on and all that shit.
And I didn't even think about like it being manipulated down to the point of your religious beliefs and your backgrounds as to like what kind of experience you're going to have when you get sucked back into the earth.
Right. I even watched a video. I didn't write much about it, but they were saying the white light is like the lowest on the visual spectrum. In all reality, we should be looking for a rose-colored light,
something higher.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, like if it is something nefarious, if it is on the low end of the spectrum, what about all these people seeing the lady in white? Maybe she's not as good and as cool as everybody thinks she is.
It kind of seems to be the whole crux of the theory.
She's an archon.
Very possible. So this light that people see, one claim is that this is the point whenever you're hit with a strong etheric, nuclear, and electric blast that wipes your memory. And then once you are in this form of amnesia, the matrix programming starts to kick in. It creates trauma, which slips etheric implantation systems into the body. Then the cycle of feeding begins anew until the person dies, and it just kind of continuously repeats itself. And try to remember these specific words. I know it's a lot, and I know it's dense, but some of these descriptions and words, I feel like they're very deliberate because they get brought up again later on. I also read reports where it's actually Greys that have a hand in all of this, that the moon is a military command and control center, that the Greys show up as your guides, obviously masking themselves and manipulating your perception and tricking you into kind of picking to go to the moon and retake into this cycle. Because I know I'll probably stumble across it later, but one of the tricks supposedly, which we do hear a lot in near-death experiences and shit like that, is where an individual, before they pass, they see loved ones, right? Supposedly, that is the Greys essentially scanning your memory, finding the weakness, and then using that, your connection with a loved one, to manipulate you into choosing to go down this road.
I told you aliens were terrible. I told you they were manipulative and gaslighting all of us.
Definitely fucking weird.
To get into our brains and pull out our dead loved ones, to manipulate the narrative of our existence is terrible.
Yeah.
It's on site.
I'm with that.
It's on site.
I'm with that. I don't know. There's a lot of bizarre information. So apparently at one point, the moon itself was created from Battlestar planets and used by the Orion fleets and their subordinate reptilians.
What is a Battlestar planet?
I have no fucking clue, but it sounds gangster.
What?
Apparently, there are other machines inside the machine, inside the moon, not just the soul recycler. However, the soul recycler is kind of a subject matter here. I didn't find much information on what other machines are inside the moon.
Probably battle stuff.
Probably. However, I did find some references here that are familiar. It said that the machine, the soul machine, was created. It's activated by our sun, and it was created using infinite intelligence. Therefore, this machine cannot be completely destroyed. However,
damn it,
the use of infinite intelligence, it also links to the law of one. How they all tapped into the infinite intelligence.
Interesting.
Another way of looking at this machine is that it is a density maintainer, keeping us right where we are. And if you die and see a light and the moon, and you decide to walk towards that moon, you will be placed inside the machine, which is apparently known as the Orion Space Drive Soul Reincarnator Machine.
The Thresher.
Yeah.
Is what we're going to call it.
It's appropriate.
Because the other thing was a mouthful. This is the Soul Thresher.
Yeah.
Where it just yanks it out of your body, and then you get recycled. It gets sent back in where you have to be a human again, and we all know how much that sucks. And the Archons just feed off our perpetual sorrow and hurt and pain and sadness, and then we die. Then we follow the light like we've been told forever. Move toward the light. And what does the light do? Put you back into the Thresher.
Yep.
And then you get sent back in where the Archons can just feed off your pain and your suffering and the sorrow and the exhaustion of being a human. And then you do it all over again, but you can't remember because the Thresher's so damn traumatic that you can't remember going through it. So they just shoot you back out,
right.
And you're just in a perpetual cycle of being a human. And it sucks.
And keep that in mind. What you just said and the fact that some people are calling this a density maintainer. Because once we start trudging through some of this information, I think for a lot of you, cards are going to start falling into place like it did for me. Because as I'm reading this is all, it's kind of dense and it's very scattered, as with most theories. But there are commonalities that you find very interesting. Like I said, some of these phrases definitely link to the law of one and the infinite intelligence. You make, free will takes a hand in this again. You have to make the choice to walk toward the moon. According to a entity that was channeled by someone, if you follow the other light, the one that comes from the sun, this will allow you to undergo a review process, and it kind of is a way to break free, supposedly, from this cycle. I'm not sure that I 100% subscribe to that or not. The moon, in some accounts, seems to be home base for Earth's manipulation. I read where beings will use it to monitor us. They also will use it to send out frequencies that will manipulate our environment and to create imbalances in our bodies. Essentially like the theory that everyone talks about with 5G towers. It's essentially the same kind of theory. In a worse situation, kind of, but apparently NASA and the uppers know about all of this. They also make trips there to partake and trade in information and material, like, for example, a genetic material exchange with reptilians. I also read some shit that is probably going to ruffle some feathers. I bet there's going to be some people who get a little weird about this.
It's just, we're just putting forth the information.
So
don't come for the messengers.
No, but this is crazy. So some people are attributing white light as the ultimate trick in modern age. People point out Lucifer, obviously, as an example, the light bearer, the great deceiver. But what's crazy to me is that some people have even abandoned light work altogether.
It's the brotherhood of the snake. What's up is down. What's left is right. What's good is bad. We've been programmed the opposite of the way that things are.
It's at this point, I do believe that is very possible. But it's crazy to me that there are people out there that are just straight up abandoning light work because of fake light. It's wild.
It would be such a conundrum to be in, to be a practitioner of light work, and then to delve into this information, and then have to start questioning it.
Yeah.
Like, has everything I've been doing not been for the greater good?
Right.
What is the greater good?
That's a hard pill to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow.
The more we know, the less we know.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? Absolutely.
And then you have this homeboy, Valerian.
Val Venus.
The wrestler. He was a CIA agent. Real name John Grace, supposedly.
Though the second one is way cooler.
Valerian?
No, John Grace.
John Grace.
Sounds like a hard ass.
It does kind of sound like a hard ass. But he wrote about how the gray aliens await for us in the light when we die. They scan you when you pass.
They're not scanning me.
Discover a person that was close to you that has also passed. Then they project this person's image inside the white light, beckoning you to walk deeper into the light. Then you choose to follow. You are then trapped and sent into another incarnation of their choice. He says, these entities view Earth as the big farm.
I don't feel like that's free will whenever they're manipulating you like that. You know what I mean?
It's a weird, I get it.
Like, you get to choose.
That's like, no, you're right. But at the same, it's almost like they found a loophole.
Yeah, sucks.
It's very loophole-y.
I don't think they should be able to do that.
No, that doesn't seem fair.
That's why it's on site.
Yeah.
Because you're bending the rules.
Yeah, like hard bend too.
No, that's like you get door A or door B. You don't know what's behind either one, but we're going to tell you there is...
It's cool behind this one.
10,000 rabid grizzly bears behind B, but in A, we're going to have your dead grandma beckoning you to come this way.
Yeah.
But you get to choose.
Yeah.
We're not trying to sway you.
Choice is yours, bud.
You make the decision on your own.
Absolutely. I was reading that some people believe that entities have placed nets around the planet, like frequency nets that manipulate the soul's journey. The beings that have done this range from alien, AI, Archon, and the demiurge. I did find it strange when paired with our modern belief system how some people believe that even with these nets in place, you can escape the nets, but you have to be aware enough to do it. Some people break free by using things like lucid dreaming, astral projection, and deep meditation, which is ironic considering those systems are generally frowned upon in some religious circles. It's right. It's fucking weird.
I'm a broken record, but how many times did I say, like, the manipulation of our consciousness is the key to higher realms?
That's essentially where this goes. But I
don't know shit.
And I will say that I am kind of burning through some of this episode because I think near the end of this episode is where we start to funnel down into a large possibility for me.
I am dumb because I've never heard... I've heard the word demiurge, but I never looked into it.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm just Googling it, and I'm like... Wow.
It's weird. It's probably something to look into.
The Gnostic demiurge is often identified with the God of the Old Testament, Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
Gnostics believe the demiurge was ignorant or even malicious, trapping human souls in the material world.
Yep. I actually get into a little bit of the demiurge.
Yeah, copy that. I will let that happen.
One avenue I go down, put most of the blame on the archons, a race of beings that were they were apparently the first biological race in our multiverse to reach the fifth dimension, and they did this through technology. Of course, these beings are no bueno, and they essentially set out on dominating the fifth and higher dimensions. However, by lore, angels and jinn, in like a one-time thing, took the archons on and knocked them down a few pegs. However, like any good villain, they now live in a physical and metaphysical state, and they start pairing up with Satan to regain control and ascend back to the higher dimensions for a rematch. Both archons and demons have apparently been known to take on a reptilian form. When I'm digging, I keep digging around and I keep seeing this concept. When you get pulled in and you're convinced to go back, it's usually under this guise, hey, you have more things to do, you have unfinished business, you have karma to get right, and in relation to life, is it me, or does that just kind of feel like how life is most of the time? You've got a few more hours to put in. You only have a few more days until I can be free for the weekend. If you do this for this person, you'll get this in return. It's always an exchange and in a manipulation event. And in most cases, when you're doing something for quote-unquote karma, so to speak, and I do something nice for an individual, thinking that eventually that comes back around, it doesn't.
Nope, you're just left in a perpetual state of wanting.
Of get fucked.
Is what you're doing. Because you expect things to work out a specific way because you've done things a specific way. An unfortunate reality of that is shit doesn't care about how you feel.
It's
they
weird.
Don't care about how things are supposed to work out.
But you're constantly taught from a young age that, like, this is how the world works. Or at least back in our day. I can't speak on the new era, but in my opinion, if there is any truth to the soul trap theory, I feel like the way we currently live is a testament to that. I feel like the descriptions of daily life match the descriptions of what it means to be constantly reincarnated with these fucking lies that we face in reincarnation in a modern life.
You're never done. There's always something else you could do. You could always be better. You could always be better to someone. You could always do something better in this realm. Like it's if you,
and then by consequence, that, like, and I know me and Steve are kind of on the negative side from time to time, but I feel like that never fucking comes back around ever.
No, and it's
like it's always a state of pain for you as the person that's always giving. The giver is always the one that gets fucking gived out. I mean, every ounce of you that you give is something that you don't get back.
Yep. It's a perpetual,
and I hate to say that,
a perpetual state of unfulfillment.
It really is.
Because, like, if you take there's like a old wives' tale or old proverb or something. Like, if you take a well and you're constantly giving out from that well, guess what?
It goes dry.
It goes dry. It has to take in something from somewhere or it goes dry.
Yeah. And I mean, most of us do it from a genuine thing too, where you're just, because there's that thought process of, like, I do something nice for Steve and Steve doesn't do something nice for me, doesn't help me, fucks me over, whatever. But you tell yourself, you know what, but fuck it. In the end, I'm the better person. I'm the one that can sleep better at night.
Unfortunately.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what we tell ourselves all the time.
Yeah. Fortunately, we live in a world where people take advantage of that.
Yeah.
You have givers and you have takers.
Yep.
You have hosts and you have parasites. You have predators and you have prey. And people thrive off of that.
It sucks.
They thrive off of what? Not everybody. It's just a specific percentage of people thrive off of what they can get out of a person that they know is providing, will give, will not expect anything in return out loud. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a cycle that's impossible to break.
Yeah, and ironically use those words because if there's a fragment of truth to the soul trap theory, and I think that this whole conversation we've had here is kind of proof of it, because if these types of systems are in place, naturally they would stem smaller versions of themselves, because don't fix what isn't broken. You know what I'm saying? So like if the grand scale moon soul trap theory is essentially what we just talked about on a grander scale, well, that system would trickle down as a smaller version of itself to facilitate the grand version, in my opinion. But another interesting one that I found is this idea of AI overlords, or even the simulation theory. And this is something that I hadn't quite heard before, but I am interested, is the idea that we as humans don't actually have souls. What happened was, at least souls in the way that we view them, there's an idea out there that suggests we are nothing more than artificially created and engineered beings. With this essence, you could call it, soul, essence, whatever, but it was essentially created by higher beings that have programmed an entire system to feed off the energy we create.
Makes sense.
So essentially, we're batteries, essentially, is what happened.
It sucks.
And then you have the idea of the reptilian loosh farming planet, where the moon has towers on it that broadcast a frequency which fucks with us and bends our mental states. And I did see a photo of a supposed 6-mile high tower on the moon.
Damn it.
They got 5G towers up in that bitch.
Could they turn it away from me for like a couple months?
No doubt.
My mood has been on the down.
Yeah. And
Just focus, just turn it.
Don't make it so strong here.
Yeah, just chill the fuck out.
But it does kind of make sense with, you pair that information with the fact that, that over the years, people have essentially lost their fucking minds.
Fair.
And I'm pretty sure, leaving all politics and horseshit to the side, before a certain date, I feel like the majority of people were fairly happy and content in their daily life until after a particular date. Now people are just essentially, the world's off its rocker, and people are acting in a way that you just can't quite understand.
What if 5G towers are
from the moon,
taking the essentially waves, radio waves, whatever the hell, in, and then projecting them out to the masses?
Interesting. Keep that in your brain, because I feel like what you're trying to explain there is essentially really close to where the funneling happens in this episode, where I'm kind of like, if I'm sold on something, it's around this aspect.
Bet.
As Steve was kind of starting to get into earlier, one of the original soul trap theories comes from Gnosticism. They spoke on the demiurge, which is a flawed and malevolent creator, creating a world of illusion and suffering. We talk about glitches in the matrix, and the Gnostics spoke about cracks in the facade of the material world. We also talk about the elites, and the Gnostics spoke about the archons, cosmic jailers, who enforce the will of the demiurge, keeping us all enslaved and dumb as fuck. So, we've already spoken a little bit about the current soul trap methods and ideas. Gnostic believed that the world is a prison for the soul, created by the demiurge, who believed himself the ultimate God and wanted to trap divine sparks within flawed, decaying bodies. I also read somewhere else that, and this was in a few places, that somewhere in time, entities convinced and tricked us into the physical body, a decaying one.
I do have a flawed, decaying body.
Well, we all do, essentially. It's also funny how the modern belief system does stem from the Gnostic point of view. I didn't realize, though, that in this idea of simulation theory and the Matrix, that it is kind of based off of the divine world. Almost like what was created is like a perverted heaven or something similar. It's also interesting that there is an idea throughout religions that also point to this. Someone pointed out Christianity. In Genesis, there's a line that could be interpreted as such. And the Lord God made Adam and his wife garments of skins and clothed them. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till you return to the earth from which you were taken.
Because they're aliens.
They are aliens. Edgar Casey, one of the most documented psychics, said the moon was teeming with soul activity. Ancient cultures revolved around its cycles, believing the moon governed the journey of the soul. The Greeks believed the moon goddess guided people through the silver path, which sounds awfully familiar to the white light other people talk about. Also seeing that people born during certain cycles had certain characteristics and life patterns, believing that the moon imprinted traits on people, which once again sounds like a reincarnation process. Ancient Druids believed that they could create stone circles and it would create a doorway for the soul, reaching out and communicating with the lunar self and seeking guidance from it. So almost admitting that there's a cycle where we go to the moon and have a lunar self there and kind of keep coming back.
I think the whole concept of the white light
it's kind of sussy.
It's weird to me, and it almost is like a cycle of reincarnation, like a manifestation of a cycle of reincarnation, because you think you go to the white light to ascend or whatever the fuck. But if you think about it, it's almost like a rebirth. It's almost like the first thing you see when you're being born is also heading toward the white light. Right. It's almost like just a continuous cycle of heading toward the light, being a human, being a soul, heading toward the light, becoming a human, dying, heading toward the light, becoming a human, dying, headed toward the light, just constantly over and over and over.
Then it does suck.
Sucks.
Edgar Casey believed that the moon would pull the soul through an emotional magnetic force.
Thresher.
Drawing people there with more left to do. Oddly enough, this is interesting. Edgar described how souls would go into vast crystal cities and work with advanced beings. Well, for those of you that are OGs and lifers here within the Hall Cult, if you remember Admiral Byrd's stories about finding a city in Antarctica, and if you remember, and I remember correctly, it was a vast crystal city filled with advanced beings. That's weird. Edgar had a woman come to him for a reading because she had no idea of a lunar imprint on her. She would get these massive anxiety attacks during full moons for no reason at all. Well, as he was doing his reading, he found that she had died during a full moon. And so essentially during her lunar experiences, she worked on understanding fear and cycles and all that shit. But in the flesh, her body wasn't identifying that this was actually some type of spiritual awakening. And it, like the conscious mind translated it into anxiety. And therefore, by not understanding this, it just essentially scared her. Which is, that's a little woo-woo, but we're delving into...
We're in the woo-woo.
Yeah, we're kind of in the woo. Or, we push all this aside. We go a little deeper. We get a little weirder.
Further into the woo-woo.
We go a little bit weirder. This is what I like.
Me too.
Saturn and the moon are working together to control humanity.
Obviously.
Keeping the Earth at a certain frequency to manipulate it. This frequency is creating the matrix we all live in. But let's explore that a little bit. Our friend David Icke talks about reptilians, right? The Reptilian Alliance modus operandi is to trigger cataclysmic events on a world or solar system to wipe away that society. Then, the reptilians genetically engineer a new species to be tuned into their false reality. After this, the planet is then hijacked along with everyone's perception. Saturn is essentially the master control center. People have been saying for a minute now that Saturn didn't, way back in the day, it didn't have any rings. Scientists only have recently, I guess, articulated the rings, and they say that they're made of ice. People are saying that they're actually made of crystals. Supposedly, there are pictures of these giant ships around Saturn, which I know that in one of our episodes, we did stumble across these massive ships hanging around Saturn. But what we didn't talk about is that these ships supposedly were repairing Saturn's rings. Assuming the reptilians built the rings for their broadcast, they were the ones repairing it. Which is essentially kind of crazy because I heard another story, as I'm reading this, I kind of told Steve about this earlier. I stumbled on this bizarre little story that wasn't relevant. It was kind of relevant, but not so much that I was going to use it until I read that about the Saturn, or about reptilians hanging out in the rings of Saturn. And I stumbled on this story of 3 people that were doing astral projection for the military. They go to Saturn. They encounter a large triangle ship there. On this ship, they had reptilians and grays. Of the 3 people that astral projected, 1 was able to get away. The other 2 were caught up in a beam of light that was full of love.
Sus.
So you're talking high form of manipulation of love and light at this point.
Sus.
And to me, that's terrifying because it creates, bare minimum, it creates uncertainty in your belief system. And that sucks.
It's manipulation.
It's manipulation. And apparently, that's kind of what this is all about. Being that Saturn has many moons, people believe that our moon actually came from Saturn as a satellite. The ancients often depicted Saturn as a giant eye. And in modern time, which is fucking weird, and Steve, this links back to your episode. So I'll read this again. The ancients often depicted Saturn as a giant eye. And in modern time, which is fucking weird, you see Masonic images of an eye that has frequencies coming out of it.
Like we talked last episode, the crop circle that is known as the Arecibo answer, which the Arecibo message we beamed out in like 76 or some shit, and it showed human DNA, like what makes up human DNA. It showed a picture of a human, it showed our solar system, and it showed a picture of the Arecibo satellite, which was used to beam the message out. Well, we got one back in 2001 with some subtle differences. And one of them was where the Arecibo satellite is, there was a different structure, which looked like an eye, beaming out waves of information.
Okay.
Sus.
It's fucking weird, right?
Sus. Yep.
So we keep going. It said that Saturn, it's referenced as the Saturn moon matrix. And it creates the world around us, blocking us from what's actually here. The transmissions are received and retransmitted by the Earth's crystal core. Then the hack connects with us through the reptilian brain and our DNA. Professor Sam Chang from the Human Genome Project said that the overwhelming majority of human DNA is off-world origin, and that the extraterrestrial junk genes merely enjoy the ride with hardworking active genes passed through generations. Here's what he has to say. What we see in our DNA is a program consisting of two versions, a big code and a basic code. First fact is the complete program was positively not written on Earth. That is now a verified fact. The second fact is that genes by themselves are not enough to explain evolution. There must be something more in the quote-unquote the game. Sooner or later, we have to come with grips with the unbelievable notion that every life on Earth carries genetic code for his extraterrestrial cousin, and that evolution is not what we think it is. Our hypothesis is that a higher extraterrestrial life form was engaged in creating new life, implanting it on various planets. Earth is just one of them. Perhaps after programming, our creators grow us the same way we grow bacteria in petri dishes. We can't know their motives, whether it was a scientific experiment or a way of preparing new planets for colonization, or the long-time ongoing business of seeding life in the universe.
I hate that.
It's disgusting.
Because think about it. Like when we grow bacteria in a petri dish, the bacteria doesn't know. It just continues existing.
Does its thing.
As a bacteria. Well, not knowing that it's been fully manipulated, fully created by something else. It just does what bacteria does.
Yep.
And that's exactly what we would be doing if we were created
100%
by something way more advanced than us. I also think when you were talking about the Archons ascended because of technology and AI, it makes me think that there's so many theories about past human history. Like one of the theories is like past epochs of man have gotten so far in technology that they quote unquote wipe themselves out, right? Like the technology for the Egyptians and this, that, and the other. And maybe
Ascension.
It's the Archons coming in and saying, hey, they're getting too close.
Maybe.
You know, they're manipulating AI, and that's what we use to get our technology. They're getting too close. We got to shut them down.
Maybe.
So then humanity has to reset itself, start all the way back. And the whole time, they're just keeping man on Earth, keeping the soul recycling and the suffering going on because we can't ascend, because we can't get there through technology and artificial intelligence. Some of us can get there through our consciousness manipulation.
See, I love this. I love this because you are kind of like you're in this groove of what the crux of this show is coming to. You're there. Your thought process is there. We'll get through a couple more things, and then I think it's going to narrow down into.
That's what I'm.
I think your mind is there. I think you're locked in. The claim then narrows down to the Illuminati and the Dark Cabal. These people are put in positions of power because they are the most locked in with the Matrix and Saturn. And in this scenario, the people who are genuinely conscious the people who are not genuinely conscious, which is most of humanity, are going to respond to that DNA programming, which in turn drives all their thoughts, perceptions, and behavior, which once again kind of references to people losing their fucking mind, being crazy, blah, 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 blah. The plasma field within our holographic reality acts like a plasma screen that we watch. So this frequency is manipulating our visible range and making us see what it needs us to see. Some people attribute the paranormal as glitches in the Matrix. Reports come in worldwide that the constellation, which is weird. Me and Steve have kind of low-key talked about this before, unbeknownst to this episode. Reports have come in over the world how the constellations are not where they should be, that even the moon has changed its angle. All of this is done to confuse us, manipulating the Matrix and preparing us for the fake end of the world, or the quote-unquote new world. But as we also see these things in the real world, which makes sense to me. I've talked about how we are always so busy with dumb shit like bills, survival, blah, 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 blah. This is all pushed at us to keep us in a fear state and keep feeding the reptilian overlords, which admittedly is kind of crazy to say. But I was reading how Saturn is this broadcast tower, a hyperdimensional node that broadcasts low frequency controlled signals into this realm. The ring's generator waveform, sound and geometry, and time field distortion in a perfect loop. The moon is a local relay station. It's a plasma-based hollow projection structure. It catches Saturn's frequencies and filters them into Earth.
Through 5G towers.
Yes. The moon phases are frequency fluctuations. Lunar cycles are emotional modulations. Full moons are data dumps. New moons are reset pulses. So on a full moon, it's not that you feel crazy. It's that you're being updated, drained, and resynced. Together, these two create the soul grid system. It's all really weird, but Dr. James Gates Jr. discovered the presence of computer code embedded within the equations that describe reality. Quantum physics says that our thoughts determine reality, which leads back to the double slit experiment. Our awareness of the observer would influence the outcome of the experiment. So what we believe occurs does. Ancient cultures also believed that we lived in a matrix. Sanskrit, the matrix is termed Maya, meaning the power of creative illusion. Many of the brightest minds on the planet have also suggested how we could possibly be in a simulation. But apparently, the archons are only in a few spectrums. However, with all the chains put on us, it slams us down into these lower frequencies, which is where the archons dwell. But also when you are young, we see the world as a playground, right? And as we get older, that begins to dissipate. And we start seeing the right path, quote unquote, which is to get a job, have a house, pay bills. Yet that is us being taught to fucking confine ourselves, to limit ourselves, and in turn, by doing that, we actually create a reality where that is exactly what happens. Right? Because that goes back to the double slit experiment. That goes back to the quantum physics of what you view and what you visualize the outcome to be is what fucking happens.
Why can't I tap in and change it? Why am I
That's
stuck?
what I'm saying.
If what I think about doing happens, I think I'm doing cool shit all the time.
Yeah.
And it don't happen.
Yeah, that is weird. There's a way around that though that we'll get into the end, and it's right up your alley.
The Greys are manipulating me.
It's right up your alley. So what you were saying earlier is kind of interesting because I know you haven't watched it, but the movie The Matrix actually has a lot of nods to this theory. Being told that, because in The Matrix, Neo's told that people are essentially used as batteries for the machines. The world that they're living in is a simulation. And in the movie, a parasite is actually pulled from Neo's belly button.
Gross.
Also, a weird side note, there's an aspect of the movie where when they're in the simulation, in order to get out of the simulation, they have to answer a landline phone. I saw this a little while ago, and it's just kind of a weird. It's a cool nod. but they have to answer a landline loan landline phone. They get pulled out of the matrix. Well, in today's world, we have removed probably 98% of landline phones. Kind of a fun connection.
I just got rid of mine like 2 years ago.
It's weird.
Now I'm stuck in the fucking matrix.
You're stuck, bro. I am too, though.
It's fine.
I was watching a video saying that Saturn sends out. Oh, also, when it comes, you were talking about how the consciousness can essentially break out of the matrix. Well, in the movie The Matrix, that's kind of what happens, except that the creators of the matrix, so in that case, the machines, they know you're breaking out of the matrix. However, because it is a minuscule amount, the machines allow it. And they allowed the people in the movie to go to Zion, which was an underground city, and they all stayed there. But the machines also allowed that because what is happening there? The ones breaking free are now self-containing again. In Zion. They're kind of like, so they viewed it as a pressure release valve.
I was just going to say, they let you think
Yeah.
you're getting out when you're not. You're just moving.
So I found that interesting. But I watched a video explaining that Saturn sends out free wave frequencies. This hits the moon and turns it into square wave frequencies. And it kind of took me a minute to process that, but I did see how in religion we are told we are born in sin. However, what some people are claiming that actually means, especially when you keep in mind of all the ancient people had their own theories on us living in a simulation. What this actually means, born in sin, is that we were born into sin waves, which is frequency.
Yeah. I get it now.
Which is eerie as fuck. Also, another fucking oddity. You take the Freemason's compass and square, and this lines up. The circle sin wave and the square grid wave. The circle at the top of the compass and the square at the bottom. It's fucking strange.
Really, God, it makes you wonder how much like these people were tapped into this shit.
It's fucking bizarre to think about.
It's crazy.
And we've heard so much. Like when we were doing the Law of One, I can't remember, but they were like the Saturn 9 or whatever the fuck it was. Like there's so much lore around Saturn. And then you do, like when we dug into Kronos, how much he influences
everything.
And remember them like describing his gaze, which is also crazy because the eye is in reference to Saturn and the frequencies. These frequencies they're talking about hitting the moon and then coming down. It's just really fucking weird. But there is hope. Apparently, I stumbled on people in order for them to manipulate our manipulated reality, people have started participating in blood magic.
I got books on it.
To break out of the matrix. It's being called blood over intent.
That's kind of sick.
It's kind of metal.
It is metal.
Our blood is a magical substance. By spilling blood, it will force the matrix to reprogram itself. Blood is spilled, and intent can be placed on that blood. The more blood that is spilled over a specific intent, the more intent comes into fruition. The hologram rearranges itself accordingly. So basically what people were saying, like, I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but like, we'll just say that people were like, I want Earth to be heaven. And like, the more people would use like it's almost like an algorithm. The Matrix reads like heaven and earth, and so it just like hit keywords. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the it sees that, and the intent gets so much that it's like, okay, we got to start doing something different here.
Yeah.
And they were literally, there's tons of YouTubes of it where people are writing out these big long pages of intent in the betterment of their life, and they're getting like those diabetic lances, sticking their fingers and then dripping blood on the paper, and then posting the video because I'm sure it falls into the same concept of the elite doing blood magic and putting it out for the world to see. There has to be a form of intent that goes along with the portraying it to the world that makes a difference. Also, one last thing for the episode. Really fucking weird. I'd like to see what you think about it, Steve. But I stumbled on a little bit more of Nick Hinton's writings, and he pointed out how the two moons of Saturn, Mimas, and then there's Thetis, whatever. Anyways, Mimas looks like the Death Star from Star Wars,
Hell yeah.
which is weird. And I got a picture I'm going to show you here in a second. Also, the two moons, Mimas and Thetis. This is so fucking weird to me. This is so fucking weird. The heat signatures of these two moons look like fucking Pac-Man. And think about that for just a quick second. A yellow dude that eats ghosts, or essentially energy from the deceased.
Souls. Eat souls.
Look at this.
Oh, yeah.
100% Pac-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Without question. And look, that one looks exactly like the Death Star.
Yeah.
But the Pac-Man heat signature is fucking bananas to me.
Yeah. God, it's like soft disclosure.
It is.
It's exactly what it is.
And the more you start, it's almost impossible to not see when people start pushing it down your throat. Like all the oddities in the movie The Matrix, the things that link up.
I need to watch it because I feel like if I watch it now, I'm going to be like,
yeah, you're probably going to be like, what the fuck? Because there's nods to 9/11 in it. And then there's all the actual simulation theory that plays in. It's a fucked up movie. The first one's probably the best of the bunch.
If I would have watched it when it came out, I wouldn't attribute a lot of things now to it. But if I watch it now, I'm going to be like, what?
Absolutely. And by doing episodes like this, it makes me want to rewatch it and see what I can catch.
Yeah, probably more than you want.
Probably. It's fucking wild, man. It was fun. It was an interesting dive.
Yeah.
It is strange how much is connected to Saturn, and the fact that it's crazy to me that tons of ancient cultures had a belief system that we lived in a simulation.
Sort of similar, but not necessarily similar to the Soul Trap and stuff. I was sitting in on Museum of Tarot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, dude.
Yeah.
He was doing a live the night before yesterday, and I just was sitting in there listening to him talk, and he was talking about esoteric knowledge and essentially like metaphysical magic and stuff, and how at the very beginning these secret societies wanted to put it out to the masses everywhere, wanted it to be equal, wanted humanity as a whole to be able to share that and ascend. But as the elites kind of started getting word, you know, and like the elites, archons ascended because of technology and AI and magic and stuff, they started these sects of different secret societies, like the Illuminati, like the Masonic Order, and they kind of bastardized this grand knowledge to where it was looked upon and like construed into something bad, and then like it just got to a point to where it was not for people anymore, you know?
Yeah, that's kind
religion
of like,
came into place, and they're like, you know, these things that they're doing are bad, and it was just like a whole thing of how what once was for everyone is now just so frowned upon, because it is essentially like your next step, you know, like this is what you need to move forward.
right. I heard that it's similar, but I heard that essentially what happened is that the schools and stuff were created for that, but they started to be infiltrated and perverted.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said.
Yeah, so yeah, same
He
thing.
used the term, I couldn't think of it. He used the term perverted. And
Yeah.
that's because he was talking about Crowley and stuff and sex magic and how it all just becomes so easily twisted.
Well, that and they started hiding a lot of it behind symbols.
Yeah.
You know, because then at that point, like it really is like a hidden language. Only certain people then know what the symbols are, and you're kind of fucked.
And it gives people who do know, who are in the inn, infinite power over people who don't. And they're like, power is perversion.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it's wild that Saturn keeps popping up.
It is strange. It's strange. And it's such a prominent figure throughout history.
Because we never really did a whole lot of much anything with it until
Not until the book.
it showed up, and now it's
here.
That was a ripper.
Wasn't bad. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, fucking archons, I tell you what.
Catch these hands.
On site. Your little grays too, your little gray minions, your little worker bees on site. So yeah, that's it for today's episode. Everybody hop in, let us know what you're thinking. Is the moon a soul trap? Are we just being recycled for trauma?
I think so.
Do we have souls?
Keeping us at that low density.
Yeah. Do we even have souls? Are we just an empty vessel that we were a container? Just an empty vessel where a soul should be is just an energy source now for the greater bad, which might be the greater good. I don't know. It's backwards, but it might be forwards. So, on that, thanks for hanging out with us. Hope your work week goes well, and check us out on all our socials. Until we meet again, stay safe, stay weird, and do not move toward the light. We don't know what's on the other end of the light. We don't know who's running the light. So just stay vigilant.